Thank you so much for staying with us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson-Miller, and a very special welcome to our viewers on OneSpotMedia.com. Another round of public sector wage negotiations, another standoff, teachers, nurses and the police not satisfied, and the teachers this week on industrial action. Joining us this evening, we have General Secretary of the Union of Technical, Administrative and Supervisor Personnel, UTAS. We also have with us, and he's also, I beg your pardon, Vice President of the JCTU, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. We have with us as well Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams, as well as the President of the JCTU. Also, she's General Secretary of JALGO, the Jamaica Association of Local Government Officers, Helene Davis White. Just before we go to our guests, though, Giovanni Dennis has this overview.
The long-standing impasse between the government of the day and the public sector workers over wage increases is once again center stage. Not for the first time, public sector workers are taking industrial action to express their displeasure at the wage offer proposed by the government. Today, Wednesday, marks 3 days since teachers from schools island-wide have been calling in sick to protest the government's latest wage increase offer of 16% over the next 4 years.
The teachers are livid. The teachers are restive. The teachers feel that they have been disrespected. The teachers believe that their real worth is not being quantified or even recognized by government.
At a delegates meeting on Saturday, 313 of 352 teachers voted to reject the offer.
It is action time. And I say, with the support of all of us, we must shut it down.
The government has maintained that the current offer is the best they can do.
The government is unable to make a better wage offer at this time.
Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Rodiad Spencer, shared his views on the teachers' industrial action.
We have done everything possible. The teachers had a very good increase some years ago, and they should allow some of this now.
The sick-out by teachers comes months after rank-and-file members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force staged a similar sick-out during the busy Christmas period in 2017. Nurses have also taken issue with the offer.
The feeling that we're getting is that they are saying, take it or leave it. This is the decision we have made for you. And so we have recognized that the paternalistic attitude of the government that we are dealing with is that they do not give you an opportunity to fully have discussion with them and to come up with any meaningful agreement that will benefit the nurses.
But this kind of public sector wage standoff is not new. There was discontent under the last Portia Simsimila administration. Here's then Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips.
We are committed to the negotiations process, and Minister Daly is leading the government of Jamaica team in those negotiations, and they continue.
And then opposition spokesman on finance, Audley Shaw.
Against the circumstances of the rapid deterioration of their living standards, I think that this offer is an insult to the public workers and public sector workers of this country.
Then Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and Planning, Horace Daly, said that increase would mean job cuts.
Something will have to give, meaning you have to cut somewhere to offer an increased wage other than what we think we can manage at this time. It's just a simple equation.
Finance Minister Audley Shaw, in a release on Sunday, said wage increase would lead to more taxes.
The government reiterated it cannot improve the wage offer to public sector workers. To satisfy the demands, the government said it would have to increase taxes, and such an increase would have a bad impact on the economy.
In 2004, the then PJ Patterson-led government implemented a wage freeze for public sector workers. Between 2010 and 2015, public sector unions accepted another wage freeze for public sector workers. Public sector workers, including police, nurses and teachers, accepted a 7% increase over the 2015 to 2017 contract period. And so, with the current government indicating that it cannot manage any further wage increase than the 16% over 4 years, there is uncertainty and angst in the public sector yet again. Giovanni Dennis for All Angles.
Okay, so to our guests, and let me go to Orville Taylor, first of all, who has joined us, head of the Department of Sociology at the University of the West Indies, and of course, here at the RGR Group. He's one of our hosts on Hotline. Dr. Taylor, is it tenor or tone of these negotiations any different from those we've seen in years gone by? We saw some mention in the overview there.
I've seen in negotiations for about almost 30-odd years.
Yes.
And no, it's not all that different because, you know, since we have seen the introduction of the International Monetary Fund in 1977, and then we had quantitative wage guidelines over the years, we had memoranda of understanding, and you name it. We have had calls for the workers to hold strain, and the threat of industrial action, the threat of retrenchment, etc. None of that is unusual. Well, and as you have seen from the footage, that across administration this has been constant. What is unusual is for payments to be made to members of other bargaining units, even though they're bargaining as a group essentially, but for payments to be made in the middle of the negotiations or before the negotiations are concluded. This has nothing to do with the age-old issue of ability to pay, etc. That is part and parcel of negotiation. You make offers, you make counter-offers, you make proposals, counter-proposals, you get to a point where you either agree or not agree. It is unprecedented for you to give this kind of increase. Pretty much it sounds like if you're saying, you know, take this or leave it. Very inconsistent with the history of industrial relations.
Before I get to the unprecedented part, does it matter though?
It matters every bit.
Why?
It matters because we are a democratic country, and this democracy that we have, the two parties in Parliament are Labour parties. The Labour in the Jamaica Labour Party is not an inconvenience. It's an indication of their history. The Bustamante would not have stood for this. Shearer would not have stood for this. And Roddy Spencer, I know Roddy Spencer. We have been through many negotiations with him. He would not have stood for this kind of approach. It is inconsistent with good industrial relations practice. It's not the sort of thing that the international labor conventions would support. This government and this party, the two parties in Parliament have agreed upon the International Labour Conventions, 87 and 98. 87 and 98, which have to do with freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining, those conventions were adopted in 1962. The entire framework of our industrial relations system, when the Industrial Relations Act bill was proposed, it proposed under the JLP in 1971. It eventually became the Labour Relations and Industrial Disputes Act. The Termination of Employment Bill became the Employment Termination Redundancy Payment Act. You share a legislation.
Okay, let me stick up in there because I hear the whole history of industrial relations.
I'm just saying though that
coming out.
Yes, I'm saying to you, I'm just making it clear that it's unprecedented, and
that's what I wanted to get back to.
It's unprecedented, and it's not the norm.
That's what I wanted to get back to, and let me go to Mr. Williams here, because that in fact is being disputed by the government. Because I can't recall having heard of it before, certainly since I've been covering these issues. But the finance minister has been saying very calmly, this is not unprecedented. Right. He can point to instances in which it has been done, and it's not out of the norm at all.
When he makes that information available, I will take the correction. Till then, I will go by my memory.
Okay. Dion, what I want to say is we are right now in unprecedented periods. Jamaica is still operating under an IMF agreement. There are some budgetary constraints in which we operate. There are budgetary imperatives. This has nothing to do with trying to strong-arm the union. We're simply looking at what's in front of us, the wage to GDP ratio that we have to meet in the upcoming year, and saying that we need to facilitate the payments in this fiscal year in order not to jeopardize the wage to GDP target in the upcoming fiscal year. So it's not a strong arm tactic at all, and it's not, you know, union busting, it's not any of those things that's doing it. There are just some budgetary imperatives that we have to meet.
Here's what I'm not clear on, and I don't know if you can help us on this, Minister Williams. I'm looking at my phone because I'd seen an article on the Gleaner website saying the teachers will not, in fact, be paid wage increases this month. It says the government has reportedly agreed not to go ahead with payment of increased salary and retroactive amounts to teachers this month. Speaks about the government having taken issue with it and quotes the JTA president as saying that some progress was made and negotiations will continue. I'm trying to understand that in the framework of everything the government has been saying, which is that we have to pay.
I'm not aware. You're reading something new that I'm hearing for the first time. I'm not aware of that.
But it would be a surprise based on everything you've been saying.
Yes. We're just coming out of Parliament where that has been debated and discussed. So I don't know this. It's new news to me.
Okay. Yeah. We're nearly at the break, but St. Patrice, let me bring you in very quickly. Unprecedented, important, not?
Very important, because in Jamaica, collective bargaining is what holds up the whole trade union activity. Collective bargaining is an integral part of the industrial relations process, and it is a prerequisite in Jamaica for trade union recognition. What is happening, or the message it is sending, is that you do not recognize trade unions, because this is what they do. They negotiate on the part of workers their terms and conditions. And through that medium, through that process, we arrive at an agreement. And what this actually signals, as the Gleaner indicated, it smacks of union busting.
I tell you what, we're going to take the break. Remember, you can tweet along with us. Our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. Our text line is 8953-999, 8953-999. Give us your first name, give us your location as well. And when we come back, we're going to be hearing from leaders of two of the unions that have not yet agreed to the wage offer. After that, we'll come back to our panel, so stay with us. We'll soon come.